thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this edition of the Brian Snow Show. Glad you are with us, and it's time for me to welcome someone special. This young fella has music on his mind, in his heart, and in his soul. As a matter of fact, for those of you that saw the link in advance, it's time to get back to rhythm and love. Here's the fellow that will help us do it. Please help me welcome Kenny Wilkins. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, Mr. Snow. How are you, sir?
I am well, man.
Wonderful.
We had some fun before we came on the air. Since he's sporting the cool cat glasses, I figured for a few moments I'll sport a pair of cool cat glasses myself.
Yeah. It looks good on you. Mr.
Thank
Snow.
you. Thank you very much. Now, what was the first thing I should ask that led you to music? What pulled you?
The passion. I couldn't get away from it. It was that clarion call, as they would say, that I just could not get away from. It's part of my being, part of my soul. It's part of me. Yeah, couldn't run away from it if I tried. And I played sports.
What'd you play?
I played football. I was pretty good. I started as a junior. No, I started as a freshman actually, and pretty good. I was a big guy, quick guy. I played defensive center. I played the area of the defensive guy. I love to shoot the gap and go after the quarterback. And
you just love to hit people.
Yeah, I loved it. And
what were some of your favorite players growing up?
Emmitt Smith was probably one of my favorites because he was the, he was the guy that took all of the hits, and he was that guy for me. He was just he was a legend in my book when it comes to it. Yeah.
Hey, I have no argument with that.
Yeah.
None whatsoever.
Yeah.
The first fellow besides Walter Payton, growing up in Chicago, who did it for me was a guy named Roger Craig.
Yes.
Same thing. Took all the hits. And did not care. Now, speaking of hits, we know you're going to create a lot of them. That's one of the reasons why I wanted you on the show, and I'm so glad that you're here.
Great.
Who are some of the artists that lit the fire for you? We know the reason, but who was one of the first to light the fire for you?
My first, my dad was a musician, so he was the one through his DNA. Everything that I understand to some degree, I guess it was just there in my mother's womb, just kind of cultivating until I got up some time to kind of really put it on some stuff myself. So he was popular. He was the church guy. He was a street guy also, but he was just a guy that just loved music, and I just was there soaking it up. So if it was one person, it was going to be him from the very, very beginning. So it was him.
With your dad and this relationship with your dad and with music, what was one of the first things he taught you?
Rhythm. First thing he taught me was rhythm, is how to keep, as he would say, keep time. He said, you beat your beat, and I'm gonna beat my beat. So he was the guy that always wanted to make certain that the foundation of everything that you do, you gotta have good foundation, a good rhythm section. Without that, it's kind of difficult to really get your point across. But he was the rhythm guy. He wanted to make sure that the foundation was set. Yep.
Any artists, past or present, that really drive you?
Because I'm more producer based, and just atmospheric sort of genre based. I love the Teddy Riley, Rodney Jerkins, Pharrell. I love the creators of the era. These people created the soundtrack of our time, and through music and all of that sort of stuff. For me, I was an R&B guy, hip hop guy. And those guys really, really set the tone for me. So it's not necessarily an artist as opposed to the producers that created the artist.
Me being a sports producer and former sports DJ, one of the things that my dad taught me was to play to my audience.
Mm,
So I have like an eclectic collection of music
mm,
on my computer. A lot of R&B,
mm,
a lot of hip hop, and
mm.
I'm 52, so I'm old school to my heart.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I got a lot of classic rock on my computer as
Mm,
well, and I rock out to
mm.
all of it. I
Yep.
rock out to all of it. When you get a creative idea in your mind of a project that you're going to put together, be it for yourself or for an artist, what's one of the first things you look for to get your brain going, to get tuned in
Uh,
to the people you're working with?
yeah, it's probably going to be vibe. You have to kind of direct yourself in the sound of those individuals because everybody has a different sound, everybody has a different style, and you can't write 6-part harmony for a guy that's going to be singing on stage by himself. It has to fit whatever you need it for. So the first thing I'm looking for is vibe,
Mhm.
and just see whether or not it's going to be a mesh. I could probably write for anything. More than likely, I have, but you kind of have to focus on the vibe and actually what the message you're trying to get out, whether it fits them. Um, you can't, obviously talk about sex and love and all of that sort of stuff with somebody who's just calm and not talking about those things. You kind of can't shake up that area. So when you say you got to play to your audience, you just have to make sure that when you're writing music for them, it's going to be something that their audience is going to enjoy.
So true, and I know
Yeah.
you've had many different audiences in front of you, as
Yeah.
as I have had in front of me.
Mm.
How long have you been doing this?
Since 5 years old is when I really started into music. I mean, it was just really, really young. I started on the guitar, well, rhythm section with my dad playing on paper bags. And then, when I get to church, I'm just strumming along with the music. So when it stopped, I was asleep and my mother had to pick me up, take me in the back for a bologna sandwich. And when I heard the music again, when I hear the music
Right
again,
back
I'm
to it.
right back to it. Yep, that was it.
See, and that's the same way with me when I got into broadcasting
Mm,
because growing up at home in Chicago, the
mm,
first team I learned about, well, the first real team I learned about was the Philadelphia 76ers for basketball.
mhm.
Spotted my mother back in the early 80s because she was a Laker fan. She loved
Wow.
Magic Johnson, and so did I.
Right.
I mean, look, greatest shot of all time is the skyhook from
Yeah.
Abdul-Jabbar.
Undefendable.
Okay?
You cannot defend
You
that.
cannot. The two most indefensible shots are the skyhook and the fadeaway jumper, and I don't have to tell you who did the
No,
fadeaway jumper
my
at
goodness.
all,
No.
because and that's those are the guys who started it for me. But a fellow's voice that came into my ear in '85 was a fellow named Jim Durham. He was
Ah.
the longtime voice of the Chicago Bulls. He and Johnny Red Kerr on Sports Vision
Mhm.
got me going. And you just have those artists in music, as I
Yeah.
have those announcers in sports that just
They do it.
just get you going.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
do
we
it for
talked
you.
about one before we came on the air, the late great Larry Munson, the
Yes.
longtime voice of the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yes.
I take a piece of him with every football game that I do. I take a lot of Jim Durham with me because I've
Mhm.
had so many people ask me who my favorite announcer is, and when I tell them Jim Durham, they say he's very underrated. To many points, he is. If
Mm.
you could point out someone who is underrated to you when it
Mhm.
comes to production, when it comes to music, who is that person, or who are those people, and why?
Hmm. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, so yeah, in Inglewood is where I'm from. There's two fellas by the name of Harold and Daryl Edgar. I shout these. I don't shout them out often enough, but these guys are not very well known, but they had some hand in a lot of the artists that we see that are coming from the area. Very, very talented dudes. I'm gonna shout them out because it was their tenacity, their vibe. I understood there were two twins and they played every instrument known to man. So they could do a production from top to bottom, writings. I don't think they would want to tell me that they sing, but they would try to sing. But they understood the whole process of it. And
Mhm.
those two guys were absolutely phenomenal guys, and those are very much so inspirational. They may not be as popular to the world as far as the masses is concerned, but anybody in the area of Bergen County, Passaic County, in New Jersey, they'll understand why I'm saying this. But absolutely, Harold and Daryl Edgar, phenomenal dudes. They are kind of the ones that I kind of paid attention to see what I'm doing. They were the guys for sure.
do you have kind of an off injury, off industry inspiration? Because I can tell you, mine is from watching old school game shows.
Yeah.
I am an old school game show fanatic. And that actually was my first dream job. I don't know, some show called The Price is Right got me hooked. So what's an off industry person or profession that kind of seeped into you, that kind of helped round you out?
It's crazy enough. It's electronics. Electronics is wiring, taking things apart, putting them back together again, and it may not necessarily be off industry, but I could take any keyboard apart and put it back together again. Whatever's broke with it, electronics. I love the soldering aspects of it. So my mind thinks that way. Very engineering mindset. And another one I would say is air traffic control. I love the schematic reading and understanding how things work. So I love that. I love the mechanics of it.
I've done the most part of my 29 years in broadcasting flying solo for a play call.
Wow.
And that's why I am so familiar with putting a set together, taking it apart, trying different parts. Hey, Radio Shack was my friend for the first
you and me both. You and me both. You and me both. I used to love to get those things and put them together, and I loved it. I'll buy something just to put it together.
Yep. It's like I said, Radio Shack was my friend for the first 14 years, especially when I was at Chicago State. And I gotta tell this first one. We were in Chicago. We had a doubleheader basketball at Chicago State. Unfortunately, there were a couple of plugs that were not available. So we had a choice: either cancel the broadcast or race up 95th Street to Radio Shack and get what we need. So my boss, John, gave me the radio station credit card and said, get. He told me the exact parts we needed. We talked about it, and I said, do you need this size or this size? Because it's adapters that we were looking for to plug the headsets into the mixer, which would plug in the microphone from the back, because we were using a dial-up at the time.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah. A dial-up mixer where you had to call into a phone line, and then it goes into the station, and then you roll from there. I got back on campus with 30 minutes to spare. I was tired. I was sweating. I had a shirt and tie on, but doggone it, we put on 2 basketball broadcasts.
Yes, we were. That's the thing that our two minds think alike, because we can take anything. It doesn't matter. It has to work. It'll work. If it's broke, let me see what's wrong with it, and I'll fix it. No problem. I've done that so many times at different shows that we were at, and something goes wrong. I'll either have a spare or figure out how to rewire something. You hear some crazy noise. Give me some tape and a knife, and I can splice a wire so fast.
That's what I learned to do. I learned to splice wires. I've learned to reset wires. I've learned different adapters that I needed. Even with this headset that I have on right now, it had the 1/8 to 1/4 inch, and I spoke back to my wife the first time that she went on assignment with me, and she says, "What to what?" Now she knows, because she'll put like an emergency bag together for me.
Oh, yes.
She'll help me with my checklist when it comes to producing my pregame show and then my broadcast. And then just before we're leaving out the door, make sure you have everything. Open the bag and check and see something's missing. And what do you think? She's standing there. She's standing right there with it.
How great is that? That's worth its weight in gold. Do you hear me?
It is, man.
Absolutely.
It is. People don't understand. There's a lot of preparation to this. Be it music, be it entertainment, be it sports. When you're a producer, there is a lot of preparation to this that goes into the entertainment, that goes into the execution. And as Jim Durham said, the execution is up to you.
That's right.
You can have all the preparation that you can, and Lord knows, I know you put in a lot of hours to your prep as well as I. Man, once the lights turn on, it's showtime.
It's so long to prepare, and sometimes you get what, a 30-45 minute set, and that set goes just like that,
Hmm.
and you've prepared for it. Just think about it. If you don't prepare yourself, that 45 minutes could be an hour and 45
An
minutes
hour and
because that'll
45 minutes.
that'll take so long for you to get there.
Absolutely.
But grateful that we have a mind to prepare. So for those times when we just kind of have to do what we have to do. But the
Yeah.
preparation is very crazy, rigorous, but it calls for a great show and for you a great broadcast. So it's dope.
When I was preparing for this, I was making sure I was looking at all my notes, and
Mhm.
uh, then your contact got a hold of me. You got you got a thumbnail for me? Went right to work. I went right
Quick.
to work and created the thumbnail that we
Mhm.
use for this broadcast. And I said,
Mhm.
okay, how can I make, and you get it in your mind. You're like, okay, which picture can I use? Which font can I use when I promote
Yeah.
this? And when
Yeah.
I saw that picture of you in that jacket, bingo. I said, this is the one I'm going to use. Now we have to frame it so it keeps that theme, and I know
Mhm.
that's so huge with everyone that's that's in
Mhm.
production, be it sports
Mhm.
production, music production. Man, when you get an idea
Mhm.
for a theme to something,
Mhm.
you work so hard to keep it.
Yes, it is very, very important. That message has got to be on when you're on camera, when you're doing what you do. It has to be on point. You got to know what you're doing, and it's no slackers. You can't slack.
Mm-mm.
You can't slack. It's got to be. I've always had that mindset that anytime you're doing something for what you're doing it for the cause that you're doing it for, make sure you're doing it with complete excellence. It
Yep.
has to look good. It has to be as inspiring, and when you're inspired to do something, it has to have that inspiration so somebody can glean something from it. So I understand for sure, 100%.
You know what's crazy? Every time I've done a broadcast lately, I've had so many people come back to me and said, "Man, you know your stuff. You're really ready." My perfectionist mind is going, "What did I miss? I missed something."
You're used to it. That's why.
I I'm so yeah, you're right. I'm so used to it.
Yeah.
Like I was preparing for Colorado, Nebraska Saturday night, and I went
Mhm.
over everything in my checklist that I could. But still, when the game got going and the lights turned on, it's like, okay, I know something's going to happen, but got into the flow of the game,
Game time. Whew.
and that was that. You get going, and like you said, the time that you're on flies right by, and
Eyes right.
you don't realize. In my case with football, you don't realize that you've been on the air 3.5 hours from pregame to postgame, and you're looking at your watch and you're going, what happened?
And think about that. So most folks who are not in broadcasting or do music or anything, okay, for us, the downtime, like when you're finished, all that you're finished, how spent are you? You just got to take a minute to just kind of chill out, sit out, and just be quiet for a minute because it is a lot that goes on in your
Oh
brain
yeah.
all at one time.
One of my old baseball partners, Mark Farina, described it best for me because he picked me up in Chicago. We drove to Valparaiso
Mm,
for a baseball game,
yeah.
and it was a conference game at that. So I'm busily writing notes in the car,
Mhm.
doing my research on the way there. And when we got done with those 9 innings, when I climbed back in Mark's car, I was totally spent. I was done. I was done.
I know it
And the
all too
next
well.
day, and the next day we had to do another one, and I had prepared for that one. I said, Mark, let me ask you a question. He said, go ahead. Why am I so tired when I'm done? And he said, you have, and I know you've been this, you zone in
That's right.
to that time,
That's right.
and every piece of energy goes into that production. And you just said it a moment ago, by the time it is done,
Done.
you
Whew.
are crashing
Done.
and fat.
Yeah. Okay. So in my profession, everybody wants to go party, and I'm like, yo, y'all go ahead. I'm cool. I'm going back
Exactly.
to the hotel room. Y'all have fun. It kind of
Yep.
keeps me out of trouble, and it keeps me going away from everything. And but what happened last night? Oh, the whole lot happened. I'm glad I wasn't there. So it's worth what it needs to be worth. So it is being called like you're in the zone. So we're in the
Hmm.
zone, getting it done. And when it's over, you got to kind of take it down because it'll take its toll on if you don't.
Oh man, especially when you have to do performances, and I pluralize that because there are times where you have to do a few of them in one day.
Yep.
Me with double headers, they wear me out.
Oh, I'm sure.
Basketball.
I'm sure you lean on the missus for relaxation and just.
I mean, when I did the Super Bowl, I did a live stream. I did a live stream of the Super Bowl. I called the Super Bowl. That was the longest webcast I've ever done.
Wow.
So 5.5 hours.
Whew.
And when I signed off, my wife was right there saying, "You're coming to bed right now. Baby, you don't have to tell me twice." I fell flat and did not move.
I understand. I do it all the time. I don't hesitate. I'm not worried about anything. I don't even care what y'all doing. Have fun. I'm going to the hotel room. I'm fine.
Exactly. It's like I tell my it's a word I use with my grandkids. My body just went kablooey. And I'm not moving. And sometimes I would want to get up and do more work, and my body said, "Uh-uh."
Nope. It's not finished recovering. It's not.
Like, you are not getting out of this bed. After I did the Super Bowl, I didn't move for 2 days.
Ooh, it's a lot.
It is. I didn't move for 2 days. And all of my friends are wondering, "Hey, why aren't you doing your morning show?" I was dead.
That spiritual connection that we have when we do what we love to do, it is absolutely draining. But it's solace in the fact that we're doing what we're called to do, and we love it. And that's where the draining part comes in, is because we put our heart and our soul into it. And people that doesn't want to do that, doesn't understand what that is. They want to go party, have fun, but you're walking in your calling and in your purpose, sir. So you're all right. So we good. We understand.
I mean, just with all the prep that I did, and I'm highlighting the Super Bowl because it's a big game. Everybody watches it, and everybody has their opinions.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here strapped to a headset, calling the game, with the rosters on this monitor, the stats on this monitor, and my tablet in front of me.
Yeah.
And my wife took a peek in here and she says, "How are you going to manage all this?" I turned and looked at Jody and I said, "Baby, I have an honest answer." She says, "Lay it on me." I don't know.
You've probably been doing it that much for that long, and you're probably doing the job of, I don't know, 6 or 9 people, whatever it is, and you're doing it all by yourself.
Yep.
And then when you have an opportunity to get those people to work for you, now it's not the same.
Wait a minute. Why am I letting this go? I've been so used to doing this for so long.
And you'll get frustrated with the people that can't do it as fast.
Exactly.
Because
you have been at the controls for so long. You've been pushing the buttons and turning the dials for so long. And it's like my buddy from Norway, Sig Diggy, just said, it's second nature.
Second nature.
It's second nature to shoulder the entire load. That sometimes you have to be reminded you do have some people on your side now. All you have to do is just show them the way. With my buddy Victor, who is my longtime engineer, Shane, who is my co-host in the morning. Shane was one of the first ones to come to me and say, "Why don't you have someone as a backup just in case you can't make it?" Because last 3 years going through blood clots in both lungs, pancreatic cancer, a toe amputation, and a kidney problem, and I'm still sitting here and I'm still doing this.
Wonderful.
I'm still doing this, and it's so much fun to do. It's so much. I just can't describe the emotion when you sit in front of that microphone, and when I sit and put this headset on, you lock in.
Game time. It's game time. It feels so good.
Doesn't it?
Good.
Doesn't it? It feels like when you have like a traumatic experience, You just want to get back to what you love. For me,
right.
it's this and it's my family.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right. Because when I came out of the hospital after cancer surgery, the first person I saw was my wife. When I was being wheeled into ICU, I saw my wife and I saw my in-laws, and my brain thought, I'm good. I'm going back to sleep.
See you in a couple of hours. I need to rest just for a couple of minutes.
Like, okay, I've been through this. My body has been through this. Give me a snooze for a couple of hours and I'm good.
Man, God bless you, man. That's really good. That's good.
Oh, man. Kenny Wilkins here with me on the Brian Snow Show. An absolutely delightful conversation.
Oh,
and
I appreciate it.
I will have to have you on about 400 more times.
I would love it.
Conversations like this, whatever you are promoting, you let me know. I'll make sure I throw a plug up here also.
Yeah, I appreciate
it. Talked football a little earlier, and we'll close with that. And it's just doing what you do and what I do can be compared to a football game. You're given a playbook.
Just give me the playbook. Absolutely.
And you need to learn said playbook. The first time I ever did this was 1995 with a camera and a microphone. My friend Kevin checked out a camera and a microphone, and Chicago State was playing Northern Illinois. And I said, Kevin, can you attach a microphone to that? And he said, and this evil smile crept across his face because I think he knew what I was up to.
Yeah.
He says, what do you have in mind? I want to try something. My inner Jim Durham came out that night, and I've been doing it for 29 years.
Oh, you're not looking back at all, ever.
I had a simple philosophy. If Jim Durham and Johnny Kirk can do it, so can I.
Absolutely.
And I've had so many people tell me, well, you don't have the proper training. I'm getting proper training every time I strap on the headset. What are you talking about?
It's a lot different these days. So who's getting collegiate education in this sort of thing? No, their passions is an education for them.
The passion is your education, and it comes out. Your preparation is part of your education as well. If you put in the preparation, everything else will just flow naturally. Right. With all the parties that you've done and all the games that I've done and everything that comes after that, the instant crash. I'll tell you what, my wife got this chair that I'm sitting in, and she says, I know you're going to love it, especially when you get done with your show, because I know what you're going to do. Yeah, she was right. Because every time I sign off the air, I'm leaning back in this chair, crashing.
And you could forget to have the college bills that follow after the things that you love to do. The experience is the education. So once you get into it, just keep going. Don't stop. You can kind of forego having the college bills after you're done.
Yep. And that's how I'm feeling right now. I took an idea and I ran with it. I followed what was in my heart. Tell me one more thing. Tell me about getting back to rhythm and love.
Yeah, Back to Rhythm and Love was just an homage to just kind of bringing love back to music. What I saw in music was a lot of disrespectful commentary, I would say, to women, and it annoyed me. Of course, I've not just arrived at this place as far as perspective. Of course, life and just different things kind of push you in a situation. You got tired of looking at music videos and music that just so degrading and disrespectful. I wanted to be a part of the solution and provide some positive music for women to love and enjoy. Empower them, let them know that we love them, we care for them, we'll thank them for all their support during the time that we're out doing what we love to do. It's just going back to them and sharing with them how much we love them is very good to me. So I want to be a part of the solution of a problem that I see right now in music.
Become a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. That's Kenny Wilkins joining me here on the Brian Snow Show this afternoon. I already said you have an open invitation to come back. Whatever
I would love it.
You let me know. We'll get you in here and we'll do it.
God, I appreciate it. Brian Snow, I appreciate you, my man.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
You got it, buddy.
Kenny Wilkins joining us here on the program, and thanks for joining us, everybody.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.